the longest that you've gone without food or drink? 36 hours, maybe 48 if you're being modest. Well, how about a whole year? Yeah, that happened to a guy named Dionysius the Renegade. But first, let's get some of these out of the way. Welcome to the channel. This is the story of Dionysius the Renegade. Alright, now let's talk about Stoicism. Stoicism, you know, it's all about accepting what life throws at you, right? No matter how bad things get, no matter how unfair they are, it's your duty to bear them with dignity and look for the lessons within them. So far, so good. But have you ever heard of someone abandoning Stoicism? No, not just any ordinary person, mind you, but one of its leading proponents, even called the second founder of the philosophy. Yep, I'm talking about none other than Dionysius the Renegade. So how does someone go from being a loyal Stoic to becoming its greatest critic? Let's find out. Dionysius of Heraclea was born around 200 BC in the ancient Greek city of Heraclea Pontica. That's in modern-day Turkey. He lived during the Hellenistic period, you know, between the death of Alexander the Great and the rise of the Roman Empire. And let me tell you, he came from money. Dionysius was part of a wealthy family of merchants. So from an early age, he had all the comforts and luxuries that life had to offer. Now, as a young man, he was crazy about philosophy. You see, there were these traveling schools back then, kind of like pop-up seminars today. Only instead of teaching people about Instagram marketing or cryptocurrency, they taught philosophy. And Dionysius, he was all about that. He went to Athens and studied under the famous Stoic philosopher Zeno of Citium. That's the guy considered the founder of Stoicism. After learning from Zeno, Dionysius traveled around the Mediterranean, further honing his philosophical skills and sharing the teachings of Stoicism with everyone he met. He must have been quite the charmer because pretty soon he built up a devoted following. People loved him. They saw him as a great teacher and an embodiment of the Stoic ideal. As a philosopher, Dionysius wrote extensively. He composed 17 books on rhetoric, which is the art of persuasion, and another 20 books on philosophy. Unfortunately, none of those books survive to this day. What we know about his work comes from other writers who either read his stuff or were directly told about it. At some point, he returned to Heraclea and took over his father's business. But don't worry, he wasn't about to abandon philosophy. No siree, Bob. He kept teaching and writing. Life was good. Then suddenly, wham, everything changed. According to Roman philosopher Pliny the Younger, Dionysius was stricken with an unnamed illness. But here's the thing, it wasn't a normal sickness. It was something excruciating. The pain was so unbearable that Dionysius couldn't stand it. He tried everything he could think of to make it go away. He experimented with different drugs, different diets. Nothing worked. And here's where things get really weird. After trying every remedy available, Dionysius decided he'd had enough. He declared that he was going to die on a specific date and then refused to eat or drink anything. Yep, you heard that right. He went on a full-blown hunger strike and he stuck to it for an entire year. Can you imagine that? A whole year without food or drink. That's insane. But why? Why would anyone do such a thing? Well, Dionysius wanted to prove a point. He was tired of living in pain. He was tired of feeling helpless. So he decided to take matters into his own hands. He was done with life. He didn't want to live anymore. Now, here's where things get interesting. As his body grew weaker and weaker, he became more and more philosophical about it. He started writing down his thoughts, his fears, his hopes, and what he had learned about life and death. He shared his experiences with others, hoping to help them deal with their own problems. But here's the ultimate twist. Right before his body gave out, he broke down and cried out to the gods for help. Yeah, after a whole year of refusing to eat or drink, he finally cracked. Maybe he realized that death wasn't the answer. Maybe he just couldn't take it anymore. Whatever the reason, he asked for mercy and then died. So what does this story teach us? Is Stoicism just a bunch of hot air? Does it really work in the real world? Well, I'll leave that for you to decide. But here's what I think. Stoicism isn't about never complaining or never giving up. It's about accepting what life throws at you and doing your best to deal with it. It's about finding the lessons in the midst of the pain. But even the greatest Stoic philosophers had their breaking points. Even they cried out for help sometimes. And that's okay. It's human. What's not okay is giving up on life. No matter how hard things get, life is precious. It's worth fighting for. In Dionysius's case, he pushed himself to the extreme, and in doing so, he abandoned the very thing he had dedicated his life to. I guess you could say that he became the ultimate heretic, the one who turned against the teachings he once held so dear. But maybe that's what made him so great. He wasn't perfect. He struggled with the same problems we all do. And in the end, he taught us that it's okay to ask for help, that it's okay to be weak sometimes. In fact, it's a sign of strength. And that's the story of Dionysius the Renegade. Did you like it? Okay, cool. Do you want to hear more stories like this? Perfect. Make sure to follow for more updates. We've got plenty more where that came from. See you next time.